Have you ever felt a strange presence that just can't be explained?
Have you ever wondered what those noises around your house really could be?
Do you ever think that your house could be haunted?
Come on.
Well, you're not the only one. More ghosts and scary things to come today on Dead Time.
Welcome to Dead Time. I'm your host, Mike Wobschel.
And I'm Dan Campbell.
I hope you're ready for some hauntingly intriguing and mysterious stories.
I know I am, Mike. I love hearing about these little anomalies that happen that just can't be explained.
Well, I'm sure they can be, they just haven't been.
270 Coleman may look like your average house, but when student Megan Etherington moved in, she noticed something was a bit different.
From a spooky basement to pictures with following eyes, the tenants say they've been getting strange feelings.
I'd be creeped out too if someone or something was watching me.
You're such a scaredy cat. I think I need something more convincing than just a feeling.
Well, we can't always be as tough as you, but why don't we let our audience decide how it makes them feel?
Okay, well, let's take a look.
In an ordinary house, on an ordinary street, in an ordinary town, unordinary things happen. The residents of 270 Coleman Street shared their experiences.
When I first moved in, for the first week I moved in, it was just me and this one other girl in the house. And we decided to take down the pictures. One day we were just settling in, talking at the kitchen table, eating lunch or something, and all of a sudden the door under the staircase, where the furnace is, started rattling. And we thought it was just so weird. We were like, okay, maybe it's just the furnace, calm ourselves down. And out of nowhere, it just swung open. So we just picked up our purses, put on our shoes, and walked out the door.
The really interesting thing about these pictures is that sort of as you're walking by them, it's kind of like the Mona Lisa, like, you know, the eyes don't leave you as you're walking by. They're always kind of watching you, and maybe that sort of adds to kind of the creepy factor of being in this house.
We had the pictures down, and the landlord came to do a check-in on us, and she immediately, like, her first question were like, where was the pictures on the wall? And we were just like, oh, we put them under the stairs because they kind of scared us. And she's like, oh, you should put them back up on the wall. One day we were sitting on the couch watching TV, and one of the lamps flipped off, and we thought it was burnt out, but what it turned out to be was someone had turned it off, and we were sitting right on the couch, and so we turned it back on, didn't think too much about it. We thought something could explain it.
The residents feel most uncomfortable when entering the basement.
When you go down into the basement, it's a small area. It's all dirt floor. The walls are white, like painted brick. And in basements I've previously been in, like older houses, that it's been like a full basement still. But the basement downstairs in this house, you walk into it and it's almost like it's been closed off for a reason, and you don't know why, because it doesn't go through the whole house, it just goes under the kitchen.
There's actually a kind of a creepy hole along the one wall that I sort of crawled into. And when I got in kind of a deep distance in, someone sort of like grabbed my hand or something. Or maybe, you know, maybe it was just me thinking this.
I'd never touched the floor. I've never been in the basement. I've never walked around the basement. I won't go in the basement.
whether or not the events that occurred at 270 Coleman Street was indeed a ghost, or just simply our minds playing games with us. Things may go bump in the night, but it is up to us on how we interpret them.
Ooh, those pictures do look like they're actually looking at you. It's creepy. I'd take them down too. And that basement? No, thank you.
Dude, come on. We actually do have Megan here. Let's try and get a better understanding of this. Megan, can you come in, please?
Hey, Megan.
Hey guys.
Megan. Well, Megan, like I was saying, can you just elaborate and let us know maybe a story that you've experienced while you've been living in this house?
Sure, no problem. One day, my roommate and I were sitting at the kitchen table, and there's a door under our staircase. It's like the furnace or something. It started, it started rattling, and not just like any kind of rattling. At first we thought it was a draft or something, but it ended up rattling really, really loud and really, really fast. We both kind of just looked at each other for a minute, grabbed our purses and got out of there. We weren't going to stick around and see what it was.
Well, see, there you go. You can't be so skeptical with a story like that. Like,
No, one story. How can you go off one story and believe that there's ghosts or sightings or any of these weird noises having ghosts? Megan, do you have another story that you could sort of elaborate on that even more?
Okay, I have a story that you probably can't logicalize. One day, my roommate was in the kitchen cutting up some vegetables for dinner or something, and my room is right above the kitchen, and the walls are so thin you can hear everything. I had just had pneumonia for about a week before, and I still had a really bad cough. She heard me coughing in my bed, and it was kind of interesting because I was actually at school doing homework till about 9 at night. So when I came through the door, she looked at me like I was crazy and just stared at me, and I said, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "I thought you were in bed. I heard you coughing," and she was freaking out. So we all have our own little stories. Her boyfriend actually has one. He sees shadows all the time. So if you're in the house, you're bound to see something.
Well, Megan, I really do appreciate you coming by, and I thank you for your time. It's still a little skeptical with me, in my own opinion, but how about you let us know what you thought of the story? Email us at deadtimetv@gmail.com. After the break, we'll be back with some interesting information on unexplainable events from around the world.
welcome back to Dead Time. With so many stories of ghosts, mysterious creatures, and hauntings in the Quinte region alone, you can imagine the endless stories from around the world.
James Buller has become our specialist on faraway stories that make up a haunting world.
While many of the most terrific and memorable ghost stories can be traced back to European soil, one story has captured the imagination and fear of Americans for over 200 years. The story revolves around a haunting that happened in 1817 to the Bell family of Tennessee. And while it has been adapted into many fictitious forms, the original story will always be remembered as the greatest American ghost story of all time. The story goes that John Bell Sr. was out for a walk in the cornfield near his home when he came across an impossible animal with the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit. Bell shot the animal but appeared to miss as it ran off into the woods. As Bell passed this incident off as some type of hallucination, he returned home and forgot all about it. But as the days passed, strange phenomena began to plague the Bell home. At first, it was just the sound of pounding from outside, which could not be explained when Bell or his sons investigated. Then the younger children began to complain of rats gnawing at their bedposts and invisible entities yanking at the bedclothes and throwing their pillows across the room. At one point, the children said they could hear the faint sound of an old woman singing what sounded like hymns. As the occurrences became worse, the daughter of Bell, Betsy, was assaulted by a poltergeist